So I'm coming to you today with some not so great news, but you gotta be aware of it and you gotta take action to protect yourself or be aware of what's going on. So two things. One, there has been a hack of Coldcards, and Coldcards, they were basically a Bitcoin specific self-custody device. And allegedly what happened is that the way they generated your seed phrase, there was a vulnerability in there, and attackers looked into the code and figured out they could exploit that and basically brute force seed phrases. And basically what they do is they figure out that they can do that. They kind of figure out the algorithm, which simplifies the process they would need to identify seed phrases. And then they just go and start spinning up a bunch of seed phrases. And then once they find one that works, they extract the funds. And I think right as of right now, over 1,000 Bitcoin has been hacked and stolen. And the people that did this, right, they didn't really do anything wrong. A lot of these people that had Coldcards set them up. I think people who set this up pre-2022 or 2021, go look at the specifics there. They were the ones that were vulnerable for this. And so basically are pre or post. So go check it out, especially if you're a Coldcard user. If you haven't taken action, I'll talk about the actions you can take to protect yourself. If you haven't taken action, you need to go through that. So watch this video and then be calm. That's really cool. That's really key here when you go through this process. But basically they spun it up and they started draining wallets. These people didn't really do anything wrong except not be aware of the vulnerability. And how are they supposed to be aware of that? Coldcard themselves weren't aware of it. And so basically they had their private key, they set it up, they did it securely, and then they had it stored, and then people were able to go in and hack it. So it wasn't like they shared a password or an email or their key or anything like that was leaked. It was just a vulnerability in the creation process, which is always a risk when you go through that and go through that process for things with crypto. And it's a constant battle, especially with AI. It's just going to get easier for hackers to find exploits in the systems because AI can find vulnerabilities that we didn't know were there. The con of that is that malicious actors can use that for bad, right, to steal. The pro is that non-malicious actors can use that for actually good, to go and find these vulnerabilities first and then to fix them. It's really unfortunate what's happened with Coldcard and their users. So what you generally want to do in this when you identify that there is an issue, and you can do this with any of your devices. Now, keep in mind, when a big hack like this happens, what these hackers will do is they'll actually go out and they've bought lists of people who allegedly own crypto and whatnot. And they'll actually use this time that's people are emotional, people feel vulnerable, or there's a lot of news and marketing and attention around these hacks, and they'll email those lists in order to do phishing emails, okay, to make it seem like other things are compromised, treasures, ledgers, and things like that, even though they aren't involved in this, but they will masquerade as support, or they will start attempting to hack accounts using email addresses to get you into their hacking process. And that actually happened with me with one of my accounts. I saw they were trying to hack in there, and luckily they weren't able to get into my account, but they were trying to hack in via my email, and then they were trying to pretend they were support. They called and had my number. How do they do that? Well, because I create content online. Also, there have been data breaches in the past where lists of accounts associated with email addresses for these exchanges were leaked, right, or hacked, and then those accounts get sold on the dark web, and every so often they spin up the email addresses in those accounts, and they fire off emails. And so that's going to happen more and more right now over the next few days, for sure, because of this. People are emotional. They don't know what's up, what's down, and they are active, right? They're active trying to move funds. And so for a lot of these hacks, I mean, Coldcard is an exception. A lot of these hacks, most hacks, they're phishing attacks. And the only way they're able to get into your accounts, whether it's your wallet, whether it's your exchange account or anything like that, is one, if you don't have the right security set up. So you need to have your authenticator set up, passkeys, things like YubiKeys, all of that set up for your accounts. 2FA, strong passwords. You need to go in and do that. And that's something that anyone can do. You can go into your accounts, set up 2FA, okay, set up your passkeys, change your passwords. The next thing you can do is you can actually change your emails. Now, be careful, because sometimes this can create account restrictions and stuff like this. All of this when you go into the accounts. but you can change your emails for your accounts so that you have a new email that wasn't in a data breach. And so that, especially if you have a lot of money on account, I generally recommend that you go to Proton Mail, set up an account specific there for crypto. And then of course you can always change that and update that in the future, okay? Because data was hacked and hijacked in the past, and it's probably gonna be hacked and hijacked in the future. And so updating your credentials for your accounts every so often can be a good thing. So if your old email is in a list that's circulating, you know that, hey, this email is not, is not active anymore. It's not associated with my accounts. So doing that alone will be very valuable. So I highly recommend that everyone does a security pass on their main accounts. Just make sure you have that stuff set up, and you're good. Other methods and things to think about is making sure that your SIM card can't be SIM swapped. So call your cell phone provider or go onto your account and just make sure that there's a PIN code and that is locked so that anyone can't just call up pretending to be you, even pretending with your credentials to be you, and swap the SIM card. You don't want someone getting access to your phone. That's another attack vector. A lot of cell phone providers and companies, especially in America, have put security measures in place to prevent that, but still that is a factor. And so just make sure that you have restrictions on someone porting out your number to a different device. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, so if you do have a cold storage device, so something that you can do, okay, again, you wanna be calm and methodical with this. You don't wanna be emotional, because that's how they get you. They get you into a heightened emotional state. You're worried, you're like, oh my gosh, is my account hacked? You're seeing OTP codes come through. That's what I saw with mine. And then you start engaging with emails and stuff that might be phishing emails. And then now you're in the attacker's network and you think you're talking to support. So just be deliberate, be cautious. You have AI. One cool thing about AI is, and just be careful that you don't have prompt injection, but you can use AI to help be, your assistant to look over things and to check you to make sure you're not falling into a scam. Especially do this before you give any sensitive information. Don't give any sensitive information, by the way. Don't give OTP passcodes, don't give passwords, don't give anything like that to anyone over the phone. Security or support will never ask for that, and likely they won't talk to you in the first place, okay? Most of those systems are automated, and they have automated processes directly through the sites. And so that's another thing. Go direct through the sites. Don't click on links and emails and stuff like that unless you have fully verified that those links and emails are legit. It's very important that you consider this. But if you're like, okay, well, I want to do a security pass with some of the stuff in cold storage, or you have stuff on a Coldcard or whatnot. So what you want to do is you can spin up you can buy new cold wallets, okay? Obviously, buy it from a reputable dealer directly from the source. So you can do that. If you don't have that and you want to move things quickly, you can go and spin up a hot wallet or multiple hot wallets, things like the Coinbase wallet, the MetaMask wallet, Trust wallet, things like that. Of course, do your own research on those specific wallets, but you can spin up a hot wallet, and as long as it accepts the crypto that you have, you can send your funds from your wallet that you're worried, your cold storage wallet that you think might be compromised. You can send those funds to those hot wallets. And just know the hot wallets, you have to set them up safely and securely. Generally, I recommend it uncompromised. Obviously, you don't know if it's compromised, but a crypto-only laptop so you can compartmentalize things there. So just something to think about, but you can spin it up there or on your phone. You can do that as well. Just know your phone has more attack vectors potentially, or it's just more prone to user error and messing up or losing it and whatnot. But you can temporarily send funds to the hot wallet, the new hot wallet that you spun up. Just make sure you're using the official links and the reputable wallet providers. And again, you don't have to send all your funds to one place, depending on how much you have, but you can send it to a hot wallet that you know is secure for the moment. And then you could order your new cold storage wallet, and then you can send funds back over to that cold storage wallet when you receive that. And again, if you're ordering that, make sure you're ordering specifically from the dealer. Don't order off Amazon or any third-party sites. Like if you're gonna get a Trezor, order specifically from Trezor. Okay, so that's something to think about. So, and do that process slowly, methodically. Make sure you do your test transactions and make sure that you're sending it to the right place and you know what you're doing for that. Other things you can do is you can send funds to your exchange accounts. just keep in mind is there are limits on how much those accounts can be protected. You can be locked out of those accounts, and then those accounts are targets for hacks and attacks when people are doing that. So just make sure you have your security process set up first before you start sending funds to those accounts. The last thing you want to do is send funds from a wallet that was safe. You're sending them to an exchange account that then is targeted or compromised. So make sure you have your security things in place. I know this might sound scary or overwhelming. This kind of stuff is frustrating that it happens, but it's part of the deal when you do self-custody to understand how to do this and how to move funds and how to be safe and secure with this. Again, go slow, less is more here. Unless you're a Coldcard user, you got to move fast, okay, and get those funds off if you think there's a risk of it being compromised. Any other devices that you're using, there's no news out about them being potentially compromised, but know that this is a possible scenario. Now, this leads to a question of, well, what about multisig? So multi-signature solutions, there are some out there, so you can do your research. Now is a good time to do your research. I might put out some videos or maybe content or add to my Bitcoin and security programs on multisig to teach kind of how you could go about doing that if there's a demand there. But that is one way that you can be more secure with storing and holding your funds. So I know there's not a clean answer here, but most of you are probably okay. Most of you aren't vulnerable, but knowing how to move in these scenarios is critical. And if the time comes and you are targeted for a phishing attempt or a hack or whatnot, the moves you make are absolutely critical. I can't tell you how many times that I've talked with students or people that email or that weren't students, right? And they didn't take the security course, but that they fell into a phishing scheme, okay? And they didn't realize it, and they gave the keys to the castle to the attackers. And at that point in time, there's not much that they can do, right? And that's something you want to make sure you avoid because a lot of these hacks, some like the Coldcard incident are because of the device itself was compromised, okay, at the source when they were creating, the process for creating the seed phrases, okay? And that might happen in the future. I think a lot of these companies that are doing cold storage and security are really gonna have to step up their game and really gonna have to evaluate things right now, okay? And so because they're doing that, you need to also be doing that and be aware of that happening and the changes that might be coming to the marketplace, especially with AI. Okay, but most of the times that you are more likely to lose your funds, it's because you do too much and you think you're talking to support in chat, over the phone, in text or email or whatnot, or you're clicking on malicious links and you're giving them the information. And so you want to avoid that as much as possible. And that's why being calm, slow and steady, having a second pair of eyes over your shoulder so you can use AI to help. By the way, you can check out the arsenal if you want to learn more about that. And I'll have links to the Bitcoin and security courses as well, if that's something that you're interested in. But you can use AI to help, or you can talk to someone that that knows crypto and this kind of stuff to help you as well, or you can get someone to be a second pair of eyes, like call someone. I can't emphasize this enough. Like if you are uncertain, call someone, okay? Someone that you can trust so that you have a non-emotional person there to help guide you, or at least to calm you down, or give you a non-emotional perspective on the scenario do it before you're giving any information or whatnot. Just say, hey, like I'm stressed out about this, I'm worried. What do you think about this situation? Okay, and what that does, again, it gives you that non-emotional perspective because they're not emotionally tied to the finances or the situation there, right, or the potential phishing scheme that you may have found yourself into. They're not directly tied to that, and so they could be like, no, you need to double check that email, or no, that's totally a phishing scam. Okay, so they can kind of call you out there, but also it slows you down and gets you to question what you're doing. That's one of the things that the scammers prey on. They prey on people falling into their scheme, right, their scripts and their process. And they want to keep you moving forward smoothly as possible. But as soon as you start questioning things, slowing things down, their scheme breaks apart and you become less valuable of a target, okay? Because they operate a lot of times off of volume for that. And so you just got to keep that in mind. So I know there's a ton of stuff here, okay? And I could probably make a whole video series and talk for hours on this topic. Yes, unfortunate these things happen and they will happen in the future. Your goal is just to be prepared and understand the actions and things that you must take in the event that this happens. Or when they do happen, it's a really good time to refresh your security protocols and understanding just because, like, hey, the times change. And with security, anything online and things like that, you're basically only as secure as today. Anything that happens in the future, that's the thing with software is new systems come out, new attack vectors get exposed, attackers and scammers and hackers, they find new ways to get around security measures. It's always a dynamic game that happens. And so you have to understand that's the reality. And so if you haven't done security audits or checks, this is a wake-up call to do it. And to figure out a program and process that works for you. So anyways, you can check out the links below if you want to learn about AI, again, because it can help you understand this a little bit better. It can be that, look over your shoulder. Of course, don't share your passwords or your seed phrases or anything like that with anyone, including AI. So don't do that. But you can use it to kind of, hey, is this email from a legit source? You can use it for that. You can understand what type of scams are out there. All those things. So you can use it as an assistant to kind of check for you. And then of course I have my Bitcoin and security link down there. So if you want to learn more about different security scams and hacks and stuff like that and how they go and play out, so you can get educated on it. That's really, really important because a lot of people that do get scammed and hacked and lose their crypto, they didn't take the course, right? They didn't want to do that. They'd rather spend the money buying random meme coins and random altcoins, right? Versus getting educated. And getting educated is one of the most important things because if you know it exists, if you know it's out there, then you can identify it when it gets in front of you and you can better avoid it or counteract that. So anyways, that is it for this one. Be safe out there. Make sure you do your own research and always, slow things down when you're going through these processes because that's going to be the thing that allows you to think more clearly and make the right decisions. So that's it for this video. Catch you in the next one. Peace.